Okay, let's talk about possibly the most famous person in the universe right now, Lydia Jacoby. So, she is a very remarkable individual. She was born in 2004. And let's start, what's this video about? So we're talking about her. Is she the first singer-songwriter to quote-unquote make it as a swimmer? Possibly. Okay, so she started singing pretty early in life in songwriting, and she's not merely a singer-songwriter. She's also, she can play musical instruments, and she was in a band. What are her musical instruments? They include, so I'm her biographer, so this is part of why I'm talking about this, officially, contractually, and I'm not going to drop her like I have another biography. This one has a place in my life story. And so, and it actually has nothing to do with swimming, how she entered my life. It has to do with her music career. And so, she was born in 2004. In 2012, I moved to, so she was born in Alaska as well, which is really far north and part of the United States of America, like further north than even some of the landmass of Canada. Like it's about even with Russia. It's far north. So if you go to certain places, you can actually see Russia from a house. That's actually real. And so and it's not a very populated place, even though there's a lot of land. And it's, a lot of people like to go there and leech off the culture and be like, oh, I love Alaska and stuff like that. Or I've gone fishing in Alaska or stuff like that. But they don't ever bring back or have true Alaskan stuff brought into their culture. They just want to culturally steal, so it's called cultural appropriation, and take things from the culture and never give back. And part of giving back would be like, if music came out of Alaska, they'd listen to it. And that hadn't really happened in my lifetime. And I moved to Africa in 2012. My student visa was for January to June, and I about maxed out my student visa. So it was through the end of June, and I left on like 25 or 26 or 27 of June, 2012. And when I was there, Lydia Jacoby, so this is like, she's like 8 years old. Her music was the most popular music. Now, here's the thing about Africa. When I lived there, it was the single most competitive music scene I have experienced in my lifetime. I have lived in Washington State. I have lived in California. I have lived in Hawaii. And I have lived in Africa. I've lived in South Africa. Like, first off, it's global music. Second off, it's not all English, so it's not like America, where if you want something to go big, now it's more okay, but in 2012 that was like a no-no. And the languages are far more diverse than in the United States of America. Like maybe there'll be a Spanish song that goes big, but you're not going to get Portuguese or Afrikaans or Swahili songs going big in the United States of America. It's just uncultured like that. And a lack of linguistic ability. So Lydia Jacoby entered my life when I was living in South Africa, and that was 2012. Okay, her music continued to kind of follow me when I moved to a rock in the Pacific Ocean, and culturally it's more like Oceania. So I moved to Hawaii in 2012 and moved away in 2015, and she kind of propagated through Oceania, including countries like Australia and New Zealand. And that time, it's kind of in her career has been kind of interesting in her music career because it feels like her music has been following me. And then in California, she just kind of like, and she was the first. It's weird because now it's really established of like, here's what we use to track number of listens and stuff like that. Because she started singing when she was really young, like 4 years old, kind of young, and putting her stuff out there, a lot of the tracking systems that are used today for like number of listens didn't even exist. or didn't exist in its accurate capacity as it does today. She was the first singer to actually pass 1 trillion listens through all channels, not like just American channels or just English channels, which is what most things, like if you don't report your results in English, we're not going to count them. That's like basic music industry, like keeping track of things. You don't have to speak English, but you got to report them, have enough knowledge to report them that way. So like in Africa, a bunch of the listens in Africa didn't ever factor in, even in like national charts kind of thing. Those are like, that reality check, that kind of ish didn't exist. So it's taken a lot longer to come up with the documentation to prove that. Fortunately, I'm writing her biography, which is different than a memoir. A memoir is based on memory. A biography is based on fact. Some people have faulty memories, so a memoir, more often than not, might not be exactly accurate. Biographies require documentation. So if that's in the biography, the number has been verified in multiple ways. So that's her music star status. So she did that all before 2015, 2016. Then in 2021, she won a gold medal in an individual event at the Olympic Games. She won a silver medal in a relay event at the Olympic Games, swimming on a finals relay, which heats, swimming on a heats relay, so like on a relay in the heats only and not the finals relay, doesn't actually count for notability on a breakthrough level, in my experience. So if we're going by the strictest standard, it doesn't count. So she did that at the Olympic Games. Then she competed at the Swimming World Cup, which is another global event. So the Olympic Games are a global event. There was the 2021 Swimming World Cup, which is a global event, and kind of more diversified participation than the Olympic Games. So yeah, and she won 4 medals in individual events. And then she also competed at a World Swimming Championships and won a medal in a relay there. Again, finals, so it counts. And so, yeah, if the Olympic Games count towards notability as like success as a swimmer, if a global World Cup circuit style thing where she didn't just compete at one stop, she competed at multiple stops, so multi-day competitions of this World Cup, and she competed at a World Swimming Championships. So she did that all in 2021. She was 17 years old. And before she turned, so and on top of all of that, she was the first